So, ma'am, my first question to you is about Prime Minister Modi. In your book, Modi, Muslims and Media, you explain how the then CM Modi ji had won his first election with the support of more than 20 Muslim groups. And in 2019, more than 20 million Muslims voted for Prime Minister Modi. That is such a huge number, and more than twice as many as voted for BJP a decade ago. So could you please tell us as to why the Prime Minister has so much of goodwill from the Muslim community of India, despite the atrocious propaganda against him?
You know, the story is far more complex than that. Firstly, when I started work on my book on Modi, I firstly didn't know him at all. I only knew that the left and the Congress thought he was a Rakshas incarnate. So I actually went to check out why they after this one man for 13 long years. Can anyone be as evil as they make him out to be? That was my question. What has he done to earn this? Because there was only one riot in his during his regime, and that too in the very first few weeks. After that, Gujarat had been totally riot-free. And those of us who had followed Gujarat and its repeated riots, there have been hundreds of riots under Congress regimes. There wasn't a month which would not witness small or big riots in Gujarat during Congress rule. And curfew was so frequent that there would be times when curfew would go on for 6 months in this or that city. He was in that bad a situation. So I, as someone who had actually investigated several Hindu-Muslim, what they call Hindu-Muslim riots, and in almost every case, I had to come to the conclusion that these were politically engineered, with Congress party and Muslim organizations actually, and this comes out in many Bollywood films also. They also expose how, very unethical, unscrupulous politicians, mostly Congress, because at that time BJP was nowhere on the scene, they join hands in order to consolidate their respective vote banks. Congress had done it time and again. And so I had gone to Gujarat to find out this party, Congress party, which has engineered thousands of riots in collaboration with Muslim organizations, not against Muslims. Mind you, it's not against Muslims. In collaboration with Muslim organizations, with Muslims invariably actually being the aggressing party first, because almost all riots start in areas where Muslims are predominant. That's from where they as in Godhra, for example. It's a Muslim majority or exclusively Muslim majority area where the Godhra train was burnt. And then came retaliation. They wanted retaliation, which is why they burnt innocent car sevaks coming from Ayodhya. They had not done anything to harm them, yet they burnt men, women, small children, innocent men, women, small children, because they were engineering a riot. And that's what they'd done all through. Now, why was that particular riot engineered at that time? Because the Congress felt very insecure, knowing Modi's track record as an organizer. He was till then only an RSS general secretary. But he was always a very strong organizer. They thought that once he comes to power, we are finished. And they were proven right, because once Modi became chief minister, he worked in a manner that he brought the state under control at a very difficult time. And that difficult time was the very major earthquake that Gujarat had witnessed. In fact, BJP felt constrained to bring in Modi without any prior experience of holding a political office, because the earlier chief ministers, the BJP chief minister, had mishandled the relief work, the reconstruction work. And so he was asked to take over Gujarat chief ministership at a very difficult time. Now, it was made out to be as if the narrative made popular globally by the left and the Congress and Islamic groups was that Modi was brought in to turn Gujarat into a laboratory of Hindutva, which is to say polarization. In their mind, Hindutva is equivalent of, and this is a crime I will never forgive the Congress party. No Hindu should. See, we have no problem if they are against Modi or BJP. Okay, that's their political dharma or duty. They have to oppose BJP in order to stay in power. Fine, so be it. But what they've done in the process is tarred Hindus, all Hindus, with the colors of fascism. It's made out as if Hindutva is quintessentially anybody who identifies being a Hindu is as good as a fascist. You have to be a self-hating Hindu in order to be secular and a decent human being. This injustice, this demonization of Indic civilization, of Hindu community, and a community and faith which has actually embraced everybody. It's not known for hostility to any. It's known for having made place for people from all over the world who whether came as refugees or even when they came as invaders. So I went to see what was so special about Modi. And then I made it a point to travel mainly to Muslim-dominated areas, cities, villages, to see what was he actually doing. Now, honestly, I was stunned to find that even by account of Muslims, he was doing more to favor them, redressing their old standing grievances, even in this election that you talk about, his first ever election he fought from Rajkot. He had been in power only for 4 months till then, and he was busy doing earthquake rehabilitation work. So he didn't have much time for even campaigning. I think he went to Rajkot just about maybe 5-6 days at the most. But what he had done in the meantime, that whatever grievances people had, like Muslim community, why is it that in Rajkot, he was not 20, if I'm not mistaken, it was 28 Muslim organizations, which created a joint front to support him. And I found this out not from Modi. I found this out by reading Gujarati papers being published from Rajkot. I studied that whole election. Because my question was, the curious question in my mind was, did Modi actually polarize his first election? Was he such a polarizing force? Was he anti-Muslim? Was he abusing Muslims? And I was stunned to find that his famous slogan, which people think he invented after becoming prime minister, which is Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas, he started with that slogan in Rajkot. And the 28 Muslim organizations, small, big groups that came together to support him, actually issued an open challenge through press to the Congress party saying, what this man has done for us in 4 months, you didn't do in 60 years. So tell us why we should vote for you. And from small things like they needed a graveyard, he immediately sanctioned that. They needed X, Y, Z, whatever demands. But most importantly, the work he did for the reconstruction of earthquake affected areas was stellar. Created really a world record of not only reconstructing the losses, I mean, the ravaged villages, but actually taking them to the next level of economic infrastructure advancement by giving them world-class infrastructure. That's when he first started, this whole road network, world-class roads, underground power cables. So power is 24/7 available. Water, reaching water to the remotest regions, the desert regions. Water supply, clean Narmada water or whatever, piped water supply, reaching the remotest villages. This is where he started. And the unique thing about his development efforts is that it's not like, what Congress does, which is they will install hand pumps, which may or may not function even 10 days. And then think they've done a big job and they will propagate a hand pump installation program, but the hand pump never works beyond first 2 weeks maybe. And hand pump is not a solution to water problems because everyone going to the same hand pump, standing in queue, etc. Then you don't even know whether groundwater is available. It dries up. But what Modi does is he goes for the big, like now. It's water, piped water supply in every home. I mean, that's a really ambitious aim. This is what he had done at that time. And people could see that far from discriminating against Muslims, he had given preferential treatment. I had thought he is really what is supposed to be a Hindutva partial person. He turned out to be more Gandhian than Gandhi. I wasn't quite prepared for it. And at that time, I myself was at that time influenced by Gandhi very deeply. That's how I saved myself from the Nehruvian influences. But then I've realized now, I think people are getting impatient with Modi ji for excessive partiality to minorities. It goes far beyond what even Congress used to do.
Namaste. We hope you enjoyed this Chitti Media content. Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.